It's called Living Peaceably with Others. Martin Luther King Jr. was a deeply reflective man. This is hardly surprising. He was a minister of the Christian gospel. I imagine that he spent a great deal of time searching his soul, challenging himself to be a better person. A real search of the soul will reveal sores, but sores, even the ugliest ones, can be healed. At Ferris, we aspire to be a better community, so it seems fitting that we too search our souls during this time set aside for celebrating King's life and work. In that spirit, I offer these words from my journey. I was in the 6th grade the first time I was punched in the face. I had done nothing wrong. It was simply my turn. 9 boys in my neighborhood were either in the 6th or 7th grade. Mobile, Alabama does not have a real winter, so we played sports outdoors year-round. Occasionally, we fought. But the next day, all, or most, was forgiven, and we played again. The biggest boy in our neighborhood was Yogi. If I showed you a picture of him, you would agree that he looked like Yogi Bear. And like the cartoon character, our Yogi might steal a picnic basket, but he was not a fighter. It is a cliche to say that a large meat person is a gentle giant. Well, Yogi was a gentle giant. The least aggressive boy in our neighborhood, the least likely to punch someone in the face. One day we were playing touch football in the street. A boy that none of us knew walked toward us. He did not stop until he blocked our playing path. I do not remember him speaking. He looked at several of us. Then he walked up to Yogi and punched him in the face. Yogi staggered, fell. The boy stood over him. He kicked Yogi in the face. No, not a kick, a stomp. And he stomped him again. Then the boy that none of us knew walked away. In the weeks that followed, the boy returned to our neighborhood several times. There were no warnings before he came and no threatening words when he approached, not even a smirk. He had a dullness in his eyes like someone who does not know where he is. Each time, this sick routine. Walk up to one of us, throw a savage punch, watch his victim fall, and stomp the boy's head. We were too afraid to help. When the evil was done, he walked away. Something was wrong with the boy who came into our neighborhood to beat us. He was not just a rough, tough rascal, a badass boy from a cloudy, dysfunctional family. It is not enough to say that he was troubled. There was a greater darkness. Someone had taught him evil lessons. How else to explain a boy hitting and stomping a stranger's face? Someone, probably an adult, had soiled him, showed him things that a child should not see. Had he seen an adult's belt, an adult's fist, an adult's foot, unholy adult desires? Someone had done things to that boy. No child is born cold and cruel. Some village had pissed on his soul. And then one day he came for me. Like Tessie Hutchinson, the protagonist in Shirley Jackson's creepy little story, The Lottery, it was my turn. And like her, I did not want my turn. I did not want to be hit in the face. I did not want my head stomped. So I did what any sane person, any person with good sense would do. I ran. I ran because I was afraid. I saw what happened to Yogi and the others, and I did not want it to happen to me. I was a frightened, anti-heroic boy, so I ran home. Why home? Because that is where the adults are who are supposed to protect you. I do not remember which adults were at my home, though I have a vague memory of my Uncle Sonny being there. I explained that the crazy boy had come for me, but I had outsmarted him. They told me to go back outside and fight him. That made no sense to me. He was bigger, stronger, and meaner. They said if I did not fight him, he would come back. I said that he was not a regular boy. There was something wrong with him. And some adult, probably Uncle Sonny, said, "It's okay to be afraid. It's not okay to hide." So I went outside to fight the boy. There is a plot line in A Christmas Story that involves a bully. At some point, Raffi, the bully's victim, snaps, gets on top of his tormentor, and beats him silly. Well, it was like that for a short while. I managed to get on top of him and hit him, but life is not a movie. He got to his feet, and each time I moved forward, he would step to the side and punch me in the face. I hurled myself at him, got him down a second time, punched him a good one, stuck my thumb in his eye, and tried to bite him. Again, he got to his feet and punched me at will. I got close enough to headbutt him. It did not stop him from repeatedly punching me. Then he stopped hitting me and walked away. My nose was cut and swollen, but not broken. There was a slit in my brow, and blood flowed into my eye and mouth. My jaw felt like someone had hit me with a pipe. Part of my shirt was ripped off. The part that remained had blood circles. There was blood on both sides of my hands. As he walked away, I looked for something to hit him with, but there was nothing. I sat on the curb, red in tooth and claw, and cried. I grew up in the Deep South in the last years of Jim Crow. I knew cruelty, especially the cruelties of poverty and racism. But that boy was the first truly cruel person that I recognized, the first person to bring out in me the desire to hurt another person. We never saw that boy again. It has been a long time, a lifetime, since I fought that Children of the Corn boy. My adult life, more than a quarter of a century, has been spent in higher education. Here, except in rare occasions, we do not settle our disputes with our fists. We do not fight that way. People with mortgages do not punch colleagues, though they may fantasize. But we fight, and not always civilly. We do not literally kick colleagues, but there are colleagues that we see often, but refuse to greet with a simple hello, or we exclude them from meetings. We do not headbutt people, but we do, alas, circulate rumors and gossip about colleagues. We do not punch coworkers, but we send nasty emails detailing the imagined sins of others. We do not bite colleagues, but we too often bite into their professional and personal reputations. We do not all fight dirty like this, but some of us do, and many of us watch, afraid to intervene. I can tell you what I have seen, but that seems redundant. You have, after all, seen what I have seen. You have seen or heard verbal and nonverbal slights, snubs, insults. On the flip side, you have also seen innocent mistakes turn into fights, last long enough to become feuds, and remain as unfortunate parts of the culture. Here is a challenge: how to respond to bullying without being drawn into non-productive, nasty, long-lasting feuds. There is a scripture which offers some guidance. If it is possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Romans 12:18. If it is possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. The phrase, if it be possible, is rightly put. For there are people of such tempers and dispositions that it is difficult to live peaceably with them. When others are for peace, they are for war. But that does not mean that we cannot pursue peace. And equally important, when we are wronged, we can avoid the perceived need to hurt them because they hurt us, to look for something to hit them with as they walk away after doing the wrong that they do. There are times when we must defend ourselves and others, and even times when we must fight. But we can learn to stand our ground in a way that does not damage others, in a way that does not make peace impossible when the fight is done. I offer this as advice to others and as a mandate to myself. Thank you.